Right, my name is Timothy James, and I'm the founder member of Headspace Theatre Company, and the piece of work I'm going to be showing is called Spiral Mechanism.
And how are you, Timothy?
Yeah, good.
And how's things going today?
Yeah, so far so good. I think we're slowly on track. It's good to have a little bit more time to play, if you know what I mean. I've got about another week and a half before my technical rehearsal, where I get to obviously go into my space and put it together even more and finalise everything. And it's just, I'm now at the stage where just running and running, you know, taking little parts of it, polishing it, tidying it up, and the old cliche of just keep learning them lines, you know.
Yeah, certainly they're the key.
Yeah.
The theatre company name, where did that come from?
Yeah, Headspace. Basically, I think I came up with the piece of work first, probably about a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
When I say I came up with it, I just thought to myself, post-traumatic stress disorder is quite a big sort of issue,
Yes.
especially with the current sort of conflicts that we've had, and majority obviously it comes from sort of soldiers, and one of my relatives has kind of got it, and he hasn't sort of like addressed it, which is frustrating as a family member, but also as a performer it's very intriguing, because the characters you can play with and build from that is fantastic. You know, you've got so much scope, and it's such a broad and subject to sort of you know, pull apart and sort of dissect. So I wanted to explore the actual disorder itself without going into too much detail.
Mm-hmm.
So I then came up with the idea of having this guy who was a hard worker, who wants to provide for his family, his wife and child, and just do the right thing, but he is overworked, overstressed, knows this, and sort of things spiral out of control.
Hence the name
Spiral Mechanism.
Which
so
does
that's where
suggest
spiral
some sort of downfall.
Yeah, so that's where the spiral came from. The mechanism is a mechanism kind of like a ticking bomb sort of thing. You know, there's something that's in his head is ticking away, and it's like the mechanism it's working, but it's going to break eventually. So me and my partner, we were discussing it, and she was like, you know, why don't you know, call it, you know, spiral something? And I was like, yeah, spiral, you know, because it's a mechanism. She was like, spiral mechanism. And then we kept saying it, and then we sort of like put it together with the ideas that I've got, and it was like, right, spiral mechanism, there we go, let's now put it together. And then I was like, right, so my theatre name, what, you know, it's a disorder that's psychological, so, you know, head games, you know, headspace, everyone's got, you know, headspace theatre, and that's where it sort of like came from, really, there. So.
The theatre company itself, does it, because the name of that drew from your performance, does the theatre company itself have sort of subject matters and things that it's specifically wanting to look at, or is it more of a case that just for the use at university?
Yeah, sure.
The theatre company?
Yeah, primarily it was for this project.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, to answer that question, it was, yeah, I'd say primarily it was specifically for this.
Yeah, to create your dissertation.
To create the dissertation, cool. Yeah.
And in terms of the content of spiral mechanism, we've heard a little bit about the disorder that it sounds like it's dealing with. What happens within the play to address it?
Right, basically, it's basically sort of, without giving too much away,
certainly.
To start with, I want my audience, or I want the audience, to come in and cast their own judgments, their own aspersions. I want them to be a little bit confused. I want them to think, Why is he doing this? Why is he here? Oh, I think I understand why he's in here. Oh, I'm not sure. Has he got psychological issues? And sort of cast an opinion like that. And then at the end of the piece, it should all come together, and it should hopefully be, oh, that's always
answer those questions.
Always, do you know what I mean? So hopefully the end will answer the questions, but I'm sure it probably won't for some people. It probably will for some. So without giving too much away, in a nutshell, everyone has got thoughts going on in their mind, and obviously some are good, some are bad, but most people know how to cope with a moment of crisis, and what you're going to see is one man's journey of how he copes with his, and how he deals with the voices that are going on in his head, the thoughts and everything that runs in his mind, on a daily occurrence, and just how he copes for it, because as we all know, the mind can be the best friend, and it can also be your worst enemy. But when you are to blame for your moment of crisis, how do you deal with it then? So, kind of in a nutshell, it's like he is to blame for his own downfall. He knows it, and it's like I say, you're seeing him coping with what is sort of going on in his head, and everything that you see in the space. It's a piece that includes voiceover work, pieces of music, things like that. So everything you see and hear is what's going on inside his head, and you just see how he copes realistically on a daily basis. And he mainly wants closure. He needs closure from what has happened, and I think it's obvious that he's never going to get it. And the little exercises that he tries to do in the piece, you can see he's struggling with it, but the greater power of the voices in his head are taking over, and it seems like that he only has X amount of time in his day to do it until the next thing that happens.
Well, it certainly sounds like there's a lot to whet your appetite.
Yeah, there's a lot to go on. Like I say, it's just something that I just want to try and get across that maybe. Like I say, everyone's got things going on in their head, and everyone has a crisis. Everyone has a moment of crisis in their life, quite bad, and everyone deals with it their own way. But this is this guy's way of dealing with his. And like I say, everything that you see and hear in the space is what is going on in his head. So yeah, come and see it and cast your own opinion, really.
Certainly, and answer, get those questions answered.
Yeah, sure. Come away, asking questions about yourself, and say to yourself, yeah, that was a bit of fun. I enjoyed that. That was a laugh. Hopefully, some other audience members might be touched by it, may be able to relate to it, and some would hopefully be like, I haven't got a clue what that's about, because that's all good as well. Because that's what I do if I go and see a piece of theatre. If I don't get it, I'm not scared to say I don't have a clue what's going on. Instead of going, oh yeah, that was nice, I really enjoyed that. I like a bit of honesty.
So I suppose in a sense there you've covered the aims of your piece and what you're trying to say a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I think regarding sort of my aims, they're probably going to change up until the last last day.
It's the nature of the course of the module,
piece, isn't it? Yeah. Up until the last day when I go on stage, even when I come back off after the first piece and go on to the second sort of performance, I'll probably get there's another one that's changed, sort of thing. like you say, which is the nature of the module and the course. So it's good that nothing is set in stone. Everything is still open-minded until the last moment.
To performance then.
Yeah. So yeah. Target audience. I don't like to have a target audience.
No.
I think that's labelling, and I think to myself, why target one section of people?
Why limit yourself?
Why limit yourself? You know, you hear that the same thing every time. So what is your target audience? And I'm just like, everyone. You know, why can't everyone just have and form an opinion instead of saying, you know, this is specifically for people who have had psychological problems or family members who have, that's, you know, pardon my language, you know, I just think it's very, you know, it's not right. It's not
just putting things in a box, maybe. Just
don't put things in a box, and you know, people are targeted, and you know, oh, you know, you can only come see this piece if you're this gender or if you're this politically so and so. It's like, well, no, come and see my piece of work. I don't care whether you're 12, 25, 85, what background you're from, whether you sleep rough, whether you're, you know, the Prime Minister's son. I don't care who you are.
Anyone and everyone.
Please, just if you want to come and see it, come and see it, and then think to yourself, yeah, that was worth a fiver, or I would pay, you know, 2p for that. It's like, well, that's great. You know, I can learn from that, and hopefully, you know, you as an audience member can learn from it as well.
Fantastic.
So we'll see that.
In terms of influencers behind the piece, like the practitioners, maybe playwrights that may have affected your piece and your thinking behind it, was there any major players in that?
Off the top of my head, no. I'll be totally honest.
Certainly.
Yeah, I'm a lazy reader, if I'm honest with you. I'm more visual, where if someone said to me, oh, you need to sort of read that book, that would be like, this is going to take me too long, you know. Whereas if they said, you need to watch this DVD, and all the information is there, that would be my stimulus.
Yeah.
I'm very visual. So practitioner-wise, I guess you can look for through the Stanislavski route of, say, with my character building.
Yeah.
Of doing the old his exercises, you know, etc., etc. I think that was he's the only one I could think of off the top of my head. I'm sure it covers a load of others.
Yeah, certainly.
But once again, I didn't want to get too involved in that because that's not me. That's not me as a performer. That's not me as who I am. It's good to relate things to theory because that's what they're there for. But I guess you could say I probably am lazy in that respect. But on the next respect, I'm not, because that's my opinion. I came up with this piece through my ideas, through my opinions, through my character building. Yes, I took the training from my training at university, from my teachers who showed me the practitioners, like I said, as Stanislavski, and who else? Lecoq, sort of thing, with the every character is an animal trait sort of thing. Uta Hagen sort of things, with the sense memory, emotional memory. So if I was practitioner-wise, I'd probably stick to them because they're my safety net.
Yeah.
But I like to look at characters through films and read up on how they became their character, sort of thing.
Sort of, say, taking things a bit more away from the theory side, what would you say the influences are? Obviously, the experience within your own family.
Sure.
Obviously, that seems to be a massive influence on the piece.
I think that would probably be the major influence, because after when it's sort of like at home, you kind of think, oh, okay, you know, you've got more of like a personal touch to it, rather than like having to go out and find out about it. When it's on your doorstep, it's as if like it's like kind of like a, not a privilege, but it's in your face and you're witnessing it. So take it and run with it, sort of thing. Like I said at the start, it's kind of like, it's not nice, obviously, because it's a situation that needs to be addressed, because it would just psychologically, it will probably, you know, kill you. So it probably does kill some people. You know, it gets too, if it's not addressed, it will bring them down so much. So yeah, if that answers that question. I think I'm mumbling and rambling.
Yeah, no, certainly no.
But going back to like say building sort of character sort of thing. I'm very much on a. I like to build characters. I like to see the change in their characters' eyes. The simple thing of like a change of their body posture sort of thing, and just to give a couple of examples, maybe like the Joker in Dark Knight. Always been, and you know, would still be today if he was still alive, rest in peace, Heath Ledger. But it was listening to how he became that character and what he physically and personally went through is an extreme case, of course. But I think to myself, if I can just take little snippets from that and other people who I watch on the screen or read about and see how they get into character, that sort of helps me. And then linking it to what's going on in my family member's head, because he's a Gulf War veteran, the first Gulf War, and he says there's days where I can't even remember the happy days of my life. All I can hear is the screams of my colleagues and gunfire. And to hear that, when I first heard that, his granddaughter is sitting next to him playing with a toy, and when he said that, he said it like it was matter of fact, like he was taking a wee, you know, it's natural. And I was like, wow, you know, what is wrong with you? And then when he said what he had, I was like, oh, okay. And watching him go through the happy times and the bad times, and then like I say, at times you're like, are you putting that on? You know, you're having a laugh. That isn't real, and it's just like, no, that's reality. You know, what we think our life is reality. You know, it's having this disorder. It's a different world. You know, like I say, the mind is your best friend or your worst enemy. I think if I want to, in my piece, I'm only trying to touch on character traits and what my character George is going through, you know, because of what happened to his wife and child, who obviously were killed, sort of thing, and obviously because he is to blame, that's all you're getting. You know, you'll have to come and see the piece after that. You can go as deep and deep and deep, you know, and bring up some awful memories of the past. And
how deep did you go
I went to exploration? Yeah, I went to a limit where I had a breakdown in December, like a little emotional breakdown because of what was going on in my personal life, with stresses of work, financial, whether I can get this work completed on time, deadlines. And I took that, how I felt with that, and added it to my character George, and then just added another little bit from simple things of pets dying in my youth.
Yeah, using the Utahagen
using the sense memory and the emotional memory, and how did I feel, and you know, what was I feeling at that point, and bringing that back and putting that on top of the layer of the little breakdown I had in December just gone, and also when my grandfather died
Yeah.
recently, and I never got to say goodbye to him. And do I regret that? Yes, I do regret it because he was my grandfather, but no, I don't regret it because I want to remember the good times. I didn't want to say goodbye to him lying in a hospital bed
No.
with tubes coming out of his mouth and nose. It was like finding that balance, putting that layer on top. And then when I was writing my piece and building it together, I put it together by using fan text, what I like to call stolen text from everything that you hear and watch on television.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's relevant to my piece. I'll write that down and I'll manipulate that to my piece. It may work in my eyes, or in my head. It may not work in someone else's. As an audience member, they may look and, like I say, they may not have a clue what's going on. But hopefully, as the wave sort of goes through the piece, it will be like, oh, okay, yeah, that guy's got some issues, so yeah. Like I say, it's got the potential to be a real heavy
Mm-hmm.
sort of piece, where you can go watch the piece and come out and be like, oh God, what the hell, this guy must have gone through hell to do that. And what, but I've tried to keep it on a level playing field of, there's some nice pieces, there's some, oh no, okay, he's weird. There's angel and devil scenarios, and there's some silly light-hearted bits in the middle, just to make people take the pressure off, sort of thing, of me as a performer, and also the audience as well. So hopefully, all those elements will come together in a good piece.
Okay. And
Touch wood.
Touch wood, definitely.
Yeah.
And where and when can people find?
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
It's obviously the Flash Theatre Festival, and it's going to be performed on Tuesday, 30th of April at 19:30, so at 7:30, and then Thursday the 2nd of May at 11:30, and Friday the 3rd of May at 2 p.m. and it's in the Crown Room at the Royal and Downgate. So it's a lovely space, a lovely little cosy room.
Yes, and it's all the really high ceilings.
Yeah, lovely high
yeah.
ceilings, very, very old-fashioned, very a comfortable space. It complements the piece, and probably confuses the hell out of you as well.
Well, high ceilings, lots of headspace.
Yeah, there you go, boom, boom. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, hopefully everyone will get along, and then I'll look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, £5 a ticket. Come and see it. It should be a fun piece. Of course, that's my first priority, is to have fun, but also, show, oh yeah, this guy's, that's pretty cool, or oh, that's kind of weird, or no, I didn't like that, or I love it, or I'll be in floods of tears. So, but come and see what you think.
Provoke a reaction.
Yeah, provoke a reaction. Let's see what happens.
That's brilliant. Cheers. Thank you, Timothy.
No worries.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.